Hi and welcome to Watch the Time and my review of my new watch. It's a Pilot watch that I've wanted for a while, and it's a Flieger Type B watch. Now, I've been sort of lusting after one of these for quite some time, and I've narrowed it down to two of the big five companies that produced the original sort of Flieger watches, and that was Stowa and Laco. There are other companies, IWC, and I think there's five main companies that make these watches, but realistically for my budget these are the two companies. I then sort of settled on the Laco purely for budgetary reasons, because I wanted to see if I could get a really nice Type B Flieger, a proper decent watch, but I had a really limited budget for this one. I honestly didn't want to spend more than a couple of £100. Yes, I would have liked the much nicer one with the ETA movement, etc., but I wanted to go second hand. It had to be in mint condition, and it had to be for less than £200, so it really narrowed it down. And the watch that I ended up with, I'm actually so pleased with. It's absolutely fantastic, and that is the Laco Aachen. This is a watch which is made in Germany, has a Japanese movement. It's a proper Type B Flieger. It's got proper heritage. It's a beautiful watch and great quality control, etc. Now, the only thing the way they've made this a affordable watch is by using a much cheaper Japanese Miyota movement. Now, some people will wince at that, but I've got a few watches with Japanese movements, these Miyotas, the Citizens, etc., and I haven't had a problem with any of them. I'm able to regulate them. This one actually comes out within 3 seconds a day, so it doesn't need regulating, and it's running absolutely perfectly. They run at 21,600 beats per hour, and I wouldn't say it's an issue, but what you do notice is the ticks on the second hand are more prominent because it's such a long second hand. Now, with the ETA movements that you get in these watches for a lot more money, you get the 28,800 beats per hour, and that gives you a slightly smoother sweep. It actually looks a little bit worse on the video than it is in real life. I presume that's something to do with the shutter speed on the camera, but it doesn't bother me at all, and that the styling is what I really wanted. So the fact that it's got a Miyota movement in it, and yes, they're a bit noisy, you hear the rotors and things like that, but really haven't got a problem. This does have a display case back, and I'll show you that in a minute. This is the original version of the Laco. It has been updated with sapphire crystal and a few other upgrades, but this was the original one. So it's got a mineral grasp, but it is absolutely immaculate. I don't have a problem with mineral crystals. I'm not one of these. I don't, want sapphire crystal on all my watches. If it gets a little bit scuffed up, you can mostly polish out. If it gets a big gouge across it, then so be it. I don't have an issue with that. I'm pretty good on my watches. I don't generally bash them about. The only ones that I've got that are damaged are ones that I've bought that already have damage on them generally. So it came on this strap, amazing strap. I mean, it's got this wheel sort of system whereby it doesn't fall off your wrist if it comes undone, and you have to put your hand through it. It's got the rivets there. It's obviously signed Laco by Leisha, and as you can see there, Leader. Really nice chunky leather strap. Bit too chunky for me, and I found it, once it's sort of closed, you've got this massive thickness of leather at the bottom, and it was a bit big as well, even on the smallest hole. This was actually a little bit, so even on that hole, it was actually a tiny bit too big for me. And whilst it is a beautiful strap, and I might put it on at some point, this watch, in my opinion, was crying out for a NATO, and I tried all different types. I tried olive green and to sort of match the loom colour and different things, but then I settled on this kind of like a khaki colour, but it almost looks a bit green, so I think it just works perfectly well. As you can see there, it's a Type B dial, so you've got the small inner hour markers and then the outer minute second markers. The whole thing lights up like it's just unbelievable. This, I'll insert a loom shot here because it's just fantastic. I mean, just look at that loom. It's just brilliant. It doesn't last as long as, say, a Seiko SKX or something like that, but it is good. It's good fun. I really like it. You know, it's a loom monster. This watch, it really is fantastic. Super legible. That's what it was designed for. This is the 42mm version, and I'll put it on wrist in a minute and show you that. And it wears really nicely. Obviously, it is a big watch, but I just want to show you a comparison. It's both of these watches are 42mm, but obviously the Laco looks massive because it's all dial, whereas this has a bezel. But when you actually put them together, I mean, if anything, with that bezel, the Laco is a tiny little bit smaller, but essentially they're both 42mm watches. And if you just look at the lug to lug there, the lug to lug on the Laco is obviously a bit longer than the SKX, so it's not going to wear as comfortably, so you will need to be careful of the lug distance. And it's one of those watches that it's meant to be big, but I think it's one that you need to try on. It's no good looking at specs. You need to try it on to see if it will suit you, and I think it's fine on my just over 7-inch wrist, and as I say, I'll show you that in a minute. We've got a really nice, I call that a squashed onion crown. It's not really an onion crown, but it's really nice. Obviously we've got hand winding because it's a Miyota, but no hacking. I don't have a problem with that. Beautiful case, quite a thick case, really nice brushing, so it's all brushed and it's a really nice quality. I really can't fault it anywhere. Nothing fancy. There's a nice bevel there, and obviously there's the, you know, there's the bezel, the case, and then the case back, so it's like 3 steps, but just a really nice design. So there's the case back. It is a display case back. To be honest, on a watch like this, I'm not bothered whether it is or it isn't. It's not a horrible looking movement, but it's nothing fancy. It's just a Miyota at the end of the day, but it's okay. As you can see there, mineral crystal, made in Germany. 5 atmospheres of water resistance, so 50 metres of water resistance, which is pretty good for a pilot's watch. I haven't got a problem with that. Makes it, you know, decently splash proof, and you'd get away with it if you went swimming. But all in all, a really nice case back. No problems with that at all. Again, I would have preferred it probably as a solid case back. It's just a snap-on, like flick off, but again, I don't have a problem with that, bearing in mind the price range and the style of watch. So I'll just throw it on wrist. So there it is on wrist, and I think the 42mm, they do this in a 39mm as well, and as you can see there, that's the potential issue for some people, is a thick, chunky watch, but it's meant to be. You know, the originals were 55mm to incorporate a pocket watch movement inside, so, you know, 42mm, this is a small pilot's watch in reality, but I say they do a 39mm. If you want to go thinner, you've got to spend a lot more money. I picked this one up for £170 second-hand, mint condition, and as I say, it is the one of the earlier ones, and it does have the mineral glass, and I know that will upset us, or it won't upset, it will worry a few people that such a massive piece of mineral glass does appear to be quite vulnerable, and I guess it is really, but it's quite flat, and you know, I've had this for a week or so now, and not had any issues. The person before me has had it for obviously several years, and there's not a mark on it. Whether this wasn't used or something, I don't know, but it's in absolutely mint condition. As I say, it keeps perfect time, so I'm really happy with it. Pilot's Flieger from a pucker company, Laco, you know, established in 1925, as it proudly displays on the dial there. Made in Germany as well, so you know, you've got excellent quality, excellent quality control. You've got a military sort of background to it. It's just an absolutely fantastic watch for less than 200 quid. I think it's an absolute bargain, and I absolutely love it, and I think it's a great addition to my collection, which was getting far too many dive watches in it for my liking, and that is something that I have been addressing recently. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'd definitely recommend picking one of these up. Like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think about the fact that it's a German watch with a Miyota movement. Does that put you off, or does it make it affordable for you like it has for me? And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, bye.